We all have our story, our own journey. It's so easy to compare yourself with someone who's successful and who looks like they have it all together. And then you get frustrated with your slow growth and ups and downs and all that. The thing to remember is that first, nobody starts at the top. And secondly, we all have our ups and downs. In this episode, I'm talking with yoga teacher, Tantra coach, and public relation expert Sandra Von Zabiensky. And Sandra shares her story openly, from getting started in public relations to burnout to discovering yoga and then Tantra and how it all came together. It felt like we have so much in common, and I'm so inspired by Sandra's story and how she lives her life, and I hope you will be too. Hey there, welcome to the Blissful Biz podcast. I'm your host, Susanne Reike, here to help yoga and wellness entrepreneurs build a thriving online business. If you're ready to make a bigger impact and earn money online, you are in the right place. Each week you learn about websites, digital products, social media strategies, and what's working now to build your online business. And now let's get started. Hi, Sandra. Welcome to the Blissful Biz podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's so exciting.
It
was a little bit complicated because I pushed so often our dates. So sorry for that. I was also traveling like you, but now finally we made it.
No, I love it. And that's no issue at all. I got in touch with a lot of people because I wanted to get so many interviews done before I started traveling. But right now I'm in Spain. The internet connection is really good. So so far I don't have any issues yet.
Perfect.
It's always a struggle when you're traveling, right? To find good internet.
Tell me about it. We just shared that I was in Andorra and you were in Andorra, and we didn't know that our data volume does not work there, even though it's so close and in between two EU states. But it's different in Andorra.
And they have the euro. And
they have the euro, but it's not possible to use your mobile contract. Yeah, that's really a shame.
But it's a beautiful country. I've just been, I had just a very short trip there, went hiking, one of my favorite things to do with my little dog, and had a nice dinner. And I got fresh waffles for breakfast this morning.
That's so cool. Yeah, Andorra. I was I really had no idea about Andorra, but we wanted to, we were first living in Barcelona in July. And then in August, we lived in Andorra. And okay, we have to say the architecture is really probably, that's one of the maybe most ugliest countries I've ever seen in terms of architecture. There's rarely a place where you have like nice old houses or nice architecture. It's like you are walking through the main city, Andorra de Vella, and you're thinking, what the fuck? How could anyone build this? So that's kind of, let's say, special. But I was really... What was really a surprise for me, and a very positive surprise, is how friendly the people are, and the nature is like mind blowing.
It's so beautiful.
The
yes,
mountains, it's so beautiful. And actually, there's one little village, Ordino, that's quite cute. So,
did you practice yoga there? Or did you visit
architectures?
Did you visit the local yoga scene, or do you have your own practice? And
yeah, a little bit my own practice, but to be honest, not so much. Because the flight was quite tiny and there wasn't really a nice spot to do yoga, because on the left there was a huge TV rack, and on the right there was this couch table. That was the only place where I could do yoga. So no, that wasn't so appealing. But in Ordino, that was so beautiful, because when you are going to the mountains, there was this little kind of like river coming from the mountain. And I also have a little dog, a senior Chihuahua. That's very cute, very old. And when I walked him, or when I carried him around,
Okay.
I always stopped there and I was meditating because it's so, I love meditating in nature, and especially this place, it's even more beautiful for me than beach or something, because with the mountains, it has it's kind of, I don't know how you feel, but it's, for me, it's like a sense of eternity, this crispy air, this special freshness. And also when you go up, and until you don't hear any cars anymore. And it's the silence in the mountains, that's really mind blowing. And probably that's not so special for me. It was special because I was never in the mountains before. So I really liked it.
We already established that you also love traveling. And you've been to the same places. Tell us a little bit more about you, what you do, your background.
Yeah. So I started to be, when I go very, very much back, like when I was a kid, I wanted to become a writer, an author. And because I love books and I loved writing, and as soon as I could write, I was writing short stories and always tried to find book ideas, even when I was a teenager. And then when it came to finishing school and starting to study, I didn't believe in myself to be a writer. So I decided to turn myself into to try PR. Because you have public relations, because you have aspects of writing and organization and events. And I think it was the magazine Joy that time. And I saw a portrait about a PR consultant. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty interesting. And I was super ambitious at that time. So directly after my Abitur, which is like a high school degree for international listeners, or don't let us go into the German school system. That's complicated. It's the degree which you need to go for studying. And after my Abitur, I directly started the first internship and was writing for the local newspapers. And then I started my studies and did all the extracurricular activities that you need to have in your CV. And I was doing internships in every vacation I had in university. And also I was in London for an internship, and I prepared my master thesis there and at the London School of Economics, where I had a researcher ID card because I could find all my literature there. And I also worked already for PR agencies when I was a student, which was very lucrative because you don't pay so much tax as a student. And also I got my first job offers before I even finished. So I directly started, I did after the end of my studies, directly 2 weeks after I had my first job. And I can remember very well how excited I was. And I was wearing a suit, which was totally overdressed for a PR agency. And also it was a very cheap Zara suit made of 100% polyester. But there was me, like really trying to look very businesslike. And I was like, okay, I will rock this. And then I was working in this agency for 2.5 years, I guess. And I was also, I was super, as I said, super ambitious and always put a lot of effort in it. So I got promotions very quickly. And then I decided to do my PhD and start my own company. And this is what I did. Decided together with our co-managing partners. So both of us own 50%. And that was my first company, which I have built. Yeah. So that's my background, like public relations, writing, and I worked a lot for the movie industry. And in Germany, I was on so many movie premieres. I can't count them. There was 1 year I saw Brad Pitt more often than my grandma. It's not a joke. It's really, really true. And with the years, it felt more and more like empty and dull. And I was like, I can see the benefits of PR, and there are still parts which are really joyful for me. I love working with my colleagues. I love concepts. strategy, brainstormings, the creativity, social media. That's super, super exciting and really interesting. But something was missing. And then I had like a really big breakdown. And also, I don't know how long you are, how long are you self-employed?
Well, I was working in advertising since 97, and I got self-employed 2011. So I was working as a freelancer, and then slowly, then I went to Bali for a yoga teacher training, and then it slowly evolved. But I had my burnout periods. Yeah, it can take over your life, even if there's so much I loved about my job. Just like you, the creativity, this working in a team. I also loved working with my clients, but it was just, I didn't enjoy how it was taking over my life.
Yeah. Did you had a burnout as a self-employed or employed person?
As an employee.
Yeah. So I think I might also have had a burnout, but I couldn't afford a burnout, so I had to continue. But way more radical. It was we had a very, very huge crisis. Like the biggest clients ended their contracts, and at that time we were 14 persons, and I had to end their job relations with us. I have for, I think it was 12. We just could kept two. And that was, I don't know if you have done this, but that's really, really hard. And I was like, okay, now I'm sitting here. I have to tell all those people they will lose their jobs. And I know there's a young dad or two young dads actually in there. I don't know how I will end this year, maybe with a debt of 250,000. And this is my personal risk. So, because you can imagine if you have employees just with 14, like if you pay a salary of like 4,000, you have to put 30% on top for the social taxes. So it adds up a lot if you have a whole team which you have employed. You have the office, you have long-term rental contracts. It's not that you can go off of everything like super quickly. The opposite is the case. That's why I'm just a side note. I'm always wondering who wants to become like a six-figure coach. It's like, oh my God, that's the worst nightmare. If you have like 6-7 figures, then you need all this administration, the back office, the people you are employing, an office, and you are absolutely not free. Who does want it? Or you have a 6-figure business and but you don't have 6-figure earnings. That's also very, very different.
But that's how you found yoga then, or?
I found yoga before, but when I had this major breakdown, that's when I really, really discovered yoga. Yoga, not as a bodily practice, but some yoga at that time. Also, shortly before I left my husband, and I was married we were together. We met each other very young for 15 years, and I grew up with him. So that was also, the company, like I knew it ended, and also. Until then, it was really a success story. So the success story ended. My marriage ended. I just had a house like for a short-term rental. I didn't know where to go, and I had no one to step in for me or to take care of me because my parents couldn't in case something would have happened. So and I had existential angst. So I was really, really, really frightened. And in this time, I really discovered yoga, and I could find peace during that time on that mat. And that was such a huge, 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 huge thing for me that I decided to do my first teacher training. I think I did 4 yoga teacher trainings of 5. I'm not sure how to count them. That's over 1,000 hours.
They are addictive. They are addictive. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also useful to not only do 200. But that was the time when I really discovered yoga. And then I wanted to teach. I wanted to start teaching, but no one was waiting for me. I just did a reel about it because, in my first yoga class, I wasn't asked if I wanted to teach in the studio. I had to go there. Another teacher trainee got directly a first class. And I was like, okay, I know you have a family. What do you think? Could you imagine to share this class? Are you up to? Can I? And she was. And then I asked the studio owner, but really, no one was waiting for me. And I did applications and I went to yoga studios and said, hello, I'm Sandra. I just have my yoga teacher training and I would love to teach if you need people for stepping in if someone can't. Like, I taught everything which I could. Everything.
When was that? When did you start? How long ago?
I think it's now 8 years ago or so. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's a good reminder for people just getting started, right? Yeah. Comparing themselves with like amazing yoga teachers like you who seem to have it all together. Yeah. So nobody does. But it's still, like, nobody starts with thousands of followers or tens of thousands of followers and sold out workshops and I don't know what else.
No.
Just
my first workshop, I think there were 6 persons. Yeah. And my first yoga class, there was 1 person. 2 teachers, because we were co-teaching. That's 1 for participant. And then for a while, 3 came, and then it kind of developed.
Okay.
And I think the most important thing is to just continue. I did martial arts, Muay Thai, for some time. And I had a very, very great teacher. And the most important thing I've learned from him is that he said, because I was kind of desperate, because my kicks were really shit. Yeah, they were really weak and I kind of didn't get it. And I asked him for, like, what could I train? Is there a special trick? And he said, Sandra, you learn kicking through kicking. So and it's the same with teaching. You learn teaching through education, but also to practice. And very often there is kind of a shame or an insecurity, and it takes a long, long time to prepare a class. And I think one of the qualities which I have learned before from my work is not to be so afraid, but just do, and if there is a mistake, it's okay. You made a mistake. What was the learning, and then you continue, but not to be afraid of putting yourself out there and to stand there. And
Are there any mistakes you did when you're just getting started, or some things that you wish you would have done differently, or you wish you would have known already about?
In terms of strategy, because I did a lot of mistakes in yoga class.
Well, yeah, for sure. But
in terms of business building,
in terms of getting started, establishing yourself as a yoga teacher, yeah, that might be helpful, like a helpful learning to another fresh yoga teacher.
Yeah, do what I did. Teach as much as you can. Like, teach. I even started teaching before I finished my first teacher training. I was so ambitious. I even got the key of the yoga studio so I could practice. And I was teaching all my friends. I'm very sorry for them. I apologize if one of my friends is hearing this and you suffered.
I did that too. We called it living room yoga.
No, sorry, I just got corona and I still have this this coughing. And this would really be my advice, to not be afraid to make mistakes and teach as much as possible, especially after the first class. And then also to sit down and I got some very, very good recommendations and a very good teacher training in the teacher training after. Not the first one wasn't good, but I also did a 500 Anusara teacher training with Lala and Vilas Toske. They brought the Anusara to Germany. And they are very strict, but in a lot of parts really very good. So what we have learned there is to evaluate your classes. So you sit down after and you have you draw mats on how the mats were lying in the classroom, and you need to write the names of the people, which is easy with 5, but it's more complicated if you have 30 persons. And then also to reflect. Because in Anusara, we don't practice in front of the class. We are walking around to see if there's anything where we can assist with, and also to be present in the class. So you learn to have the asana in mind and give the instructions, but not to do it in front. And then also the question, was I everywhere in the room? Because it's very funny. I tended to have favorite spots where I would move, and some not so favorite spots. And to sit down and to look if I was everywhere is super good. And then also evaluating your classes in terms of, could I transport the message? Was it where did I forget something? Why did I forget it? Or was something missing? This is something I would really, if you're a yoga teacher or if you're becoming yoga teacher, this is something I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, so you've always been really like working on your craft, so to say, right?
Yeah.
So like really trying to, okay. How did you evolve then and find your niche as a yoga teacher?
Well, the niche found me.
Okay.
I don't teach so much yoga anymore. It's like maybe once in a month I teach their class, which with my own yoga style now, which I have developed through my tantric practice, and this is my niche and also my life. Because with the Anusara teacher training, I get to know Tantra, and I'm an absolute science nerd, and I'm a huge lover of physics. So especially quantum physics. So I was super excited when I had my first date with my boyfriend, my partner right now, because he's an astrophysicist, and I got so excited when he was telling me on the date he's an astrophysicist. I said, "Oh my God, we can talk about quantum theory and gravity and everything." And so with this being said, being a quantum physics nerd, I was really super interested. And I was even in particular on accelerators and visited them in Hamburg, for example. And what was fascinating for me in quantum physics is that this world is made of energy, of little particles or elementary particles like quarks and up quarks and down quarks and protons and photons, and that they act different than our Newton big world. And well, the first thing I have heard about Tantra was that everything is energy vibrating in form. And I was like, wait, I know this sentence from somewhere else. And that was so fascinating for me that I wanted to learn more about Tantra. And then I ordered all the books from the teacher training, and I didn't read them because I couldn't understand a word. But one day, so I wrote my first book about Tantra and also my tantric journey and how it helped me with redefining me being as a woman. And I described it there because it was unspecial. It was just a regular day, and I had one book, the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, on my coffee table. I didn't read it at that point. It was just very decorative because it's white with golden letters, super beautiful. And so I put it for just to pose on my coffee table. But at that day, I passed the coffee table and I stopped, and I swear it's really true. I stopped, or my body stopped. It was not a conscious decision. I took the book, I started to read, and read it in one time, in a short amount of time, completely. And I was so hooked. And then I read everything which I could get about Tantra. I started to learn with my first teacher, and was still a teacher, Harish Wallace, and like night and day, the audio recordings I would listen to them. Then I would start it with other teachers to add other teachers. I started to discover the tantric goddesses, especially one. And Tantra really changed my life. And also it changed the way how my relationship with my body. And before it was more, still more mechanical. It was a peaceful place. The mat was very often a peaceful place. Sometimes not, when I was really super ambitious and I wanted to do like a special pose or something. And then it was also a place of frustration still. And, but it didn't give me the deep, loving, caring connection, which I have now to my body. And, this evolved with my tantric practice. And out of this, I developed my own style of yoga. So it got very sensual, super slow. Very inspiring was for me the yoga, the teachings of Megan Curry. She's not a tantrika, but I just love her.
Oh, I love her.
So,
yeah. I went to her retreat. Yeah, she's amazing.
Megan is awesome. And with this bodily input and with the input from Tantra, the mat was becoming more a field of exploration and a meeting point for layers of myself, which I haven't seen and which I wasn't in touch with for a very, very long time. And at that time, I also noticed how I disassociated from my body in terms when it's very stressful or in dangerous situations, like because that was my conditioning because of what I experienced before. And to work through this layer and being intimate with myself and even more befriending myself again, that was super beautiful. And I'm extremely thankful for that. So now I don't know how it is with you. I love yoga. I never quit my spiritual practice. Like this is a must, this is also my life. It's not like I can't divide it. People ask me very often, how do you practice? It's not like I have a morning ritual and I do this and this and this, like especially the working with the senses and the reflections of what I think. And questioning myself and radical honesty. I do this every day, but this is also now just a part of my life. This is not nothing which is a practice time in real life. This is something which is like always
that's
present.
Perfect. That's beautiful. Yes.
And with the asana practice, it's sometimes a lot and sometimes for weeks, none.
Okay. Yeah, for me at the moment, since I'm traveling in my camper van, it's difficult to keep up a yoga asana practice. I don't have the space inside my van. Absolutely. And outside it's either too cold and too wet in the mornings, or you're surrounded by other campers, or it's too hot or too sunny. Yeah. So I keep up my meditation practice and journaling and walking long walks with my dog for exercise. Yeah. But that's basically it at the moment.
Yeah. I can totally relate, especially when you're traveling a lot. And we also traveled this summer. You don't really have time. That's not possible. Or you had this little time, or I had just very little time when we traveled. I don't know how it was with you, because for me, it was very, very, I had a lot of work, because you can imagine bringing out a book. And also, it was published as an audiobook too. So I did the audio recordings in Barcelona, and I still have my PR agency, and I have to prepare the House of Grace things. So it was just a lot. And then there was not really a good space to practice. And it was extremely hot in Barcelona. And but the spiritual practice and also the long walking with the dog, I don't know how it is for you, but that's for me contemplating time. It's so beautiful.
Yes. It's always when I have my best ideas. So I don't listen to a podcast or anything. I want to be present for my dog and for myself, for nature.
Yes.
And in those times. And I love long walks in the mountains, or like now we spent like the last week, a few days in the cities, and was like tiring, exhausting for both of us.
Yeah.
Not the same. So yesterday, that day in Andorra, going for a hike was really nice. But I would love to know more. So how it evolved, like you shared your story in PR and how you discovered yoga, how it then came together, how your business evolved. You said that right now you're not really teaching yoga so much anymore. So what are your offers? How do you help people? What problems do you really help people with? How do they find you? Where's the focus? How does it all come together?
So the first thing is teaching yoga. I was sure I want to deepen that. So at a certain point, I had to decide. I was super exhausted from teaching 5 classes a week and sometimes 7 if I were to substitute. And then I asked myself, why do I work 40 hours and teach so much? Because that shouldn't be like the thing. It's don't have time for practice for myself. It's really exhausting. And then I decided to cut hours in PR. And I don't know why I didn't before, because it's my own company. It's always the time of organization. And this is something which I figured out in now 17 years of being a company owner or being self-employed. And not only if you're self-employed, this is valid for everyone. It's like, if you really want it, with most of the things, let's put it aside, like really illnesses, etc. But if you really want it, with most of the things, let's say 90%, it's possible. Now you can make it work. It's just you. You need to ask yourself, how much am I willing to give myself into this? And I was very willing to give myself into this evolving of the business. And the yoga classes went more popular. I had no social media before I started the yoga teacher training. I was actually making fun of social media. And then the teacher of the first yoga teacher training, Marion, she said, you need to have it. So I started. And I started to write. That was super beautiful, because Instagram wasn't so much about posting nice pictures or poses. Also, I'm not like the greatest asana performer in the world. It doesn't look so fancy if I do this. And especially in the start. And for me, it was more about writing. And I rediscovered my writing through Instagram. So I wrote a lot. Like every post had like 2,200 signs, which is like a little, actually like a little newspaper column. It's there. I was writing for Hamburger Abendblatt when I was building my house with my ex-husband. I also had the same amount of stuff.
For the non-Germans, local German newspaper.
That's a local German Hamburg newspaper, exactly. And so I rediscovered an old passion again, and also that benefited my PR, because I practiced writing so much, and I tended to overshare at that point. I didn't have really boundaries, so that was also sometimes a little bit critical. But also with me being so open and vulnerable, I connected with people. And
but it's not really writing; it's storytelling, right? That you used.
Yeah, but I didn't use it as a marketing tool or so. I used it because I used it for writing. So that was me putting myself out there. But it connected with people. And then I started to write for yoga magazines like Yoga Aktuell or Fakaki to Go Happy. And then more people started to follow me. And it evolved and evolved and evolved, but not quickly, like very slowly over the last 8-7 years. And this is something I also really, really enjoyed, the connection. And I think with social media, it's like with everything, if you put a lot of love in there, and if you want to have a connection, and if you put yourself out there and you really want this, then it can be super beautiful. It doesn't need to be superficial. So I had social media. I was cutting down my hours in PR, not doing everything at once. And The online business started with COVID, like with everyone.
Okay.
But before, I was also teaching on a lot of conferences in Germany, but also in China. I was teaching 2019 in China. That was super exciting. And my offerings were not yoga workshops, but I was I don't call myself a tantric teacher. I'm more like a tourist guide into Tantra. It's like if you go to Paris, you have a tourist guide and he tell you, here, look, that's the Eiffel Tower, and there's the Arc de Triomphe, and this is the Champs-Élysées, etc. And I'm a tourist guide for Tantra. I tell them, look, these are the Tantric Mahavidyas, the 10 wisdom goddesses. Here we have the 4 upaya's, the ways of liberation, the means of your liberation. We have the basic worldview, and these are the real teachers. You can deepen your knowledge. But to have this bridging part, to have someone to first introduce you to the basic tantric worldview and basic tantric principles, that was like kind of my niche. But this came very naturally. I was not sitting down there and asking myself, what is my niche, and I will do this as a business. Before, it was also a lot about self-love. I had a self-love workshop, which was successful, and where I was teaching this one in like all over Germany, and I invested. I totally forgot this. This is now a long time ago. I invested in a coach to help me define who I am, and also she was super connected. It's Ava Taylor. She had this agency, Yama Talents. It was kind of a talent agency for yoga teachers, and later I was part of it, like Megan. She managed also Megan, for example, and I was so proud to be like on the same page like Megan late some years later. And she was helping me to define it, because it's super hard to do it on your own. To define who you are, what are the topics you are talking about, to define workshops, especially if you do this the first time. And I even had the background of writing and public relations. So even with this background, it was really hard for me, and I needed a counterpart to find myself the positioning. And I was also working with the Händel Group for general business topics and also personal topics. And they also helped me to develop my mission statement, or redefine my mission statement at that time. And this is never like fixed. When I see this, these topics and the pillars from that time, it's very, very different from today. But of course, there's a huge evolution in that, I don't know, 5 years or so. And so today it's very, very different. But that was the start. And I think it's very good if you really want this, or if you want to make a living out of it, it's really good to sit down and ask yourself, what do I stand for? What am I passionate about? This is so important to see what you're passionate about. What I love about teaching, what do I want to share? If I put this together, how can I create workshops? How does it translate in workshops, social media, or other offerings? That's super helpful to do it on your own if you are able, or do it with a friend, or do it with a coach maybe together.
Yeah, I love that. I also love that you said that it evolved, because this is so important to note. For so many yoga teachers, it feels like they're boxing themselves in, or they stay stuck in that strategy phase where they feel like, I need to have everything 100% perfect in place, and only then I can start creating offers. No, it's probably not going to look completely different in a few years. You just need to make a decision for a niche or a message and get started.
Yeah, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
It's really, maybe there's a workshop who's not selling. I had some who were not really good selling this year. And so what? That's I learned out of it, and I always create products which I really want to teach, and I'm super passionate about it because I just learned something about out of it, and I really want to share it, and I think it's of value. And sometimes I have 70, and sometimes I have 20 people, so that's super different. But this shouldn't be. I can understand that is frustrating, absolutely, and I get frustrated too. And also, if you make a living out of it, it's also existential. But still, keep going. Just keep going. That's really what I can tell from 17 years experience. Don't give up, because there will be always hard times. There's no time. There is no success story which goes like only up. That's for no one. It's the case. I love the story of Wayne Dyer, who is a very, very successful spiritual teacher and author. You know him, maybe?
I don't think so. What was the name?
He was Wayne Dyer.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. And his first book, no one wanted to buy it. So he bought all the copies by himself and made it a success by that. And he had like thousands of copies on his own and in his garage or somewhere where he started. And he was selling it by himself. But he didn't give up. And he became one of a very important or very, very successful teacher. No one, or very rarely, someone starts like this. And if someone starts like this, they will also have a time where it's not working so well.
You always have ups and downs. Yeah,
it's normal. This is normal. And what I have learned in my years of being self-employed, not to be so much affected by the ups and downs. The first 6-7 years when I had my company, because I also founded it very young, I was super scared in the beginning of the year, because I knew I had to make several 100,000 to pay all the fixed cost. But just the half of the budget was there in the beginning of the year. And then with the years, I learned, okay, this will we will figure it out in the end. It will be fine, because it's always like this. So I learned to be more relaxed about it, and don't give up if it's hard in the beginning, or don't give up if it seems to be a lot. Just start with baby steps. Maybe what is the tiniest action I can do every day to make this come true, or to build my business? For example, which is maybe a surprise, but I don't like marketing so much. I'm really not good at it. But I said, okay, I really believe in my offerings, but if no one knows about them, it's going to be hard, Sandra. So now I force myself to post every second day on Instagram, and to post every day in my story something about one offer I have. And I also decided to change the narrative about it. So first it was forcing, and now I was like, what can you can switch it. You can also ask yourself, what beautiful thing I can tell about this product, or maybe can I give a learning or an inspiration about it, and what can I share about this? So you switch your own storytelling, and you don't go into resistance, because if you are going into resistance of something, this makes us suffer. Suffering is not bad things happening. Suffering is resistance to the things and states we are. So sitting down, changing the narrative, putting a new attitude to it, and make it actually with joy, because now I really enjoy it. And also I invested in copywriting courses, because I wanted to, writing is my passion. So to learn more about this and to put this into my writing. And even though it has to evolve now and I have to practice more, just putting fun aspects in business parts, which I don't like, it's a good thing.
I love that.
I struggle with finances to put.
I love that you also invested in learning about those tasks that you felt like are important for you, for your journey and your business. So it's like, like it's not only like, okay, I have to learn how to do Facebook ads or something.
Yeah.
So, but no, I love that. That was really so insightful. Thanks so much for sharing your story, your background, how it evolved. Really, really inspiring. So
thank you so much.
Is there anything else you would that I should have asked you that you wanted to share? I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I believe when you feel you have asked everything, that is totally fine. What I want to share is something I'm super proud of. My first book, if it's allowed.
Yes, it should be.
If you want to know more about the journey, but more about the spiritual part and how tantric goddesses are playing a role in it, it's in German. So just for German listeners, very interesting. It's Tantra, der Weg des mutigen Herzens. Tantra, the way of the courageous heart. And it helps you redefine find your own definition of being a woman, which I think is super important because I quitted the idea of living someone else's definition of being a woman for myself. I didn't want to ask myself, how do I want to experience myself as a woman in terms of working, loving, living, looking, even if being, So I really erased everything which was there, and then I really find myself new. And also the work part is part of one very huge one of the main chapters, because that's super important to also ask ourselves, how do we want to work, or how do we want to build business? How do we want to give ourselves in this part of life?
Yeah, it should be a part of our life. Yes.
Yeah, because in Tantra, everything is, there's not spiritual and working life.
It's connected,
like, this is your life.
Yeah.
This is your life, and this is the journey, and everything is like holy, because everything is, in Tantra, everything is God or goddess. So, the divine. That's a nice word.
Yeah, thanks. So we definitely add the links to the show notes. Where can people go to learn more about you?
It's www.house-of-grace.de. So far, it's just in German. But I do offer courses about Tantra. I have also yoga classes, American Honey Yoga, which is an own brand actually now. And also for some, I was allowed to do some copywriting for their website. I enjoyed it a lot.
Great.
For that, you just write me an email.
Yes, everybody definitely check it out when you speak some German. Thanks so much.
When you speak English too, but that's just email.
Okay, yeah. Thanks so much for being here, Sandra. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Blissful Biz podcast. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes. This would mean the world to me. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to never miss a new episode. To learn more about how to work with me one-on-one, my courses and membership, or to get instant access to freebies, workshops, and more, go to susannereiker.com right now. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.